All right. We got people coming in. It's a beautiful thing. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone is starting their week off the right way. And we're going to start it off the right way with a Restart Real Talk. So as you guys know, these Restart Real Talks, the whole purpose of them is to find prominent individuals who achieved immaculate success. But we don't forget about the title, forget about where they are today. Let's learn how they got there. Let's learn about some of the challenges they overcame, what they had to do to get where they are so that like all of us right here can take some of those lessons and apply them to what we're doing on a daily basis. So that being said, today I'm going to give an intro before he comes on. We have Ryan Serhant coming, which is super, super exciting. So if you don't know, if you're living under a rock pretty much, Ryan is a luxury real estate broker. He's a best-selling author, producer, and star of Bravo's $1 Million Listing and its spin-off, Sell It Like Serhant. And Ryan is also a leading member of the Serhant team. They have over 60 people in their brokerage. It's New York City-based real estate brokerage, but it's bi-coastal. And they're consistently ranked #1 sales team in New York. So he's done all this and much more, and he's done it at the age of 30. Talking with Ryan and getting him on, and we're going to bring him on right now. Let's go to the requests. We're going to keep it short, quick, to the point. I'll tell you, I think of anyone who's most excited about this, it's my mom. She's a huge fan of both you and Amelia. So that's it's stuff. So purpose of today, right, is we want to understand, less about where you are today, but how you got there, and lessons we could all apply to our career navigation journey, what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I'm just going to get right into it if you're good with that.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So my understanding, let's go back 14 years ago, right? You graduate from Hamilton College, 2006, and you pursue acting. Now, before we even get into real estate, I just want to talk to you about pursuing acting because I got to imagine there's some pushback. I'm going to go be an actor in New York City. Like, it's a pipe dream. What I like about it is you broke the blueprint of like traditional thinking. So what kind of pushback did you receive, and how did you say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to go do it because that's what I want to do?
The pushback I received when I was in the city was that you don't look right. Your nose is too small. Your ears are weird. Your hair is too gray. Right? It's all personal. It's all personal. It's all personal rejection, which is why I think when I got into real estate, I was totally fine with all the rejection that most people are not fine with because they can't handle it. But for me, I was like, no one will ever take an apartment, because or not because of my hair.
And just the idea of going to be an actor, did you receive any type of outside pushback, not even within the industry, but family, friends saying, you're going to be an actor in New York, good luck?
Yeah, I was graduating college, right? I had a good education. I had a very regular upbringing. And then I was like, you know what? Everyone else is getting jobs or going to graduate school or, going to law school or med school and all that stuff. I'm going to move to the most expensive city in the world without a job. And I'm just going to have, some savings I had from working in construction for the most part as a kid, my summer jobs. And I'm going to see if I can make it work. So everybody kind of gave me pushback. But at the same time, everyone said, okay, well, if you're going to do this, you might as well do it now, right? Yeah. Like right when you graduate, you might as well try it. So for me, it was, I'm going to go to New York and see if I can make this work so that at least I'll know. And if it doesn't work, I will never regret having tried. But I'd rather regret the things I did than the things I never tried. That's a quote that I live by.
That's a good quote, because I think there's like research out there that says that most people on their deathbed say most of them regret what they didn't do, not what they did do. So I love that you live by that. Now, obviously, it didn't work out, right? So the research I've done tells me 2008, you didn't have any money left, you're not an actor anymore, so you got to transition. So how did you like reinvent yourself and restart to figure out what was next when acting failed?
It wasn't a Band-Aid the way, when I look back into my life, I'm like, oh, well, in 2008, that's what I did. It was a much slower transition. I ran out of money. I had to figure out a way to stay here. And so I got my survival job was not as a bartender or a waiter or doing temp work, but was getting my real estate license for a couple $100 and doing rentals where I lived in Koreatown. And slowly but surely, I did my first rental deal and made like $500. And like it became a drug, right? Where I was like, whoa. So I met somebody on a street corner. I showed them apartments that weren't mine. They asked me which one they should take and which one they'd feel better in. And I told them the honest truth. Like, I think this one's a better one and a better deal. And I made $500 in a couple hours. Like, I'm going to do this again tomorrow. Yeah. And then I'm going to do it again the next day. Imagine if I made $1,000. The idea that I could run around all day for free and then possibly make money was much greater in real estate than it was in acting. Because in acting, you're unemployed and then you work for free for the hopes that one day someone might pay you minimum wage. Like, it's a tough grind. And in real estate, it was the more people I met every day, the better my chances were of making an income so I could pay my bills. And so it was like a year kind of progression for me where I was trying to do both at the same time, and then slowly just switched over where the acting thing didn't make me happy anymore. Yeah. And the real estate thing, even though it's a roller coaster, I just fell in love with the idea that I could control whatever I wanted to every day.
Mm-hmm. And so you talked about survival job, right? I think most people that are following me right now, they talk often about having a survival job, being stuck. And we're all looking, how do we break that? So you talked about how you had a hybrid between real estate and acting. If you could give one person a piece of advice, if they're in this survival job place of getting out to pursue really what gets them going, what advice would you give them?
I used to tell people that you just have to jump in, right? You just have to jump in the water and swim. And it's really the only way you can do it. So if you're stuck with a survival job and it's what you hate doing, then screw it, quit, right? The only way you're ever going to do something is if you just do it. Yeah. But that's not true for everybody. And I think for 10 years, I spit that message out at everybody. And I think that works well for me, and maybe it works well for you, and maybe it works well for half the population. But for the other half, if you're not comfortable doing that, you don't have to do it that way. It's okay to get your feet wet, right? It's okay to say, listen, I hate working at Macy's, right? I hate working at a store doing retail, selling perfume. I love real estate, for example, right? It could be anything. I love real estate. I love sales. I'd always love to do it, but I can't afford to just rip the Band-Aid off and jump. Sure. But I'm going to work all day, and then at night, I'm going to take the classes needed to get my license. That's okay too, as long as you start the process. Start the process.
Exactly. I love it. Do something, have a plan for it, and then just attack it. So one of the other cool things is when you did transition out of acting, you transitioned to real estate, probably what most would say is the worst time, right? Subprime mortgage crisis, the Great Recession, what a mess. What is some advice you have to people that are transitioning in a time of just mayhem and how to make it a positive transition?
Yeah, now is the absolute best time to make any transition because the whole world is transitioning. When the river's dammed, and all the fish are like, holy shit, what's going on? I don't understand. You jump into that pile, now you blend in. Now you're like, oh, wow, this is crazy. But at least it's crazy for everybody. Yeah. Now is the time to start a new business. Now is the time to switch your job. Now is the time to do all that. And don't focus on 2020 or 2021. Like, everything I do today is for myself in 2030.
What I see what you did in 4 years, 2008 to 2012, right? So you go from making the 9,000 to then, becoming a star at $1 million listing, and then being the number 15 of real estate agent in New York City, growing to have a team that's number one. It's unbelievable. But I think about it, I'm like, not only can you work harder in 4 years, you have to be more strategic and you have to be working smarter. And if you do agree with that, what are some of the things you think you did in those 4 years that really differentiated you amongst your peers and in the industry and really got you to where you are?
I'd say the first thing that I noticed from people around me was that they ran around with their head cut off like a chicken all the time.
Yeah.
They were always so busy, so many things going on. How come they're not moving up? How come they're not kind of, structuring themselves in some way? And that was literally it. They had no structure, no discipline, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're working for yourself, by yourself, you don't report to anybody. And we're all kind of creatures of habit, right? I think most of us were lucky enough to have one or two parents or a parental figure kind of tell us what to do. And then we go to school and we have someone else tell us what to do. And then we get our first job and you get someone else tell you what to do. Now all of a sudden you work by yourself and you're like, yeah, I love it, dude. I've always wanted to work by myself and be my own boss. How do I tell myself what to do? Damn it, this sucks. Like, it's much harder than you think. And so I set up a system called Finder, Keeper, Doer, where I I knew like the one thing I could control, no matter what. I can't control what buyers do, sellers do, what that guy on the street does. I can't control what people say, think about me. I can control what I do from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. So I'm going to structure my day so I can always move forward and up at the same time. And I broke my days down in my calendar, literally like in my phone, into 3. And I'd have a couple hour block called Finder, a couple hour block called Keeper, and a couple hour block called Doer. And I still do it to this day, 12 years later. And I credit it with everything for me because it gave me total structure and really disciplined me. So I knew no matter what was happening, whether I had appointments today or not, whether I was filming today or not, I know that from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., those are my Finder hours, which are really my CEO hours. Like I'm forcing myself to sit there. I'm not going to do anything else other than brainstorm new ideas for my business. How am I going to market that thing? How am I going to meet new people right now? What else would I do with my CEO hat? Then from like 11 to 12 or 11 to 1, whatever the schedule might be that day, it's my Keeper time. So that's my CFO time. That's when I'm thinking about the money, the advertising, when I was in my Finder time, I decided that I was going to go after this type of clientele with this target market. Now in my Keeper time, I figure out how I'm going to pay for it because I just came out with all these ideas. Now, how the hell am I going to do this? Right. So I got to go partner with a mortgage banker and we're going to do it together. I think that's good. Here are the 5 mortgage bankers I want to do that with. I come up with advertising things, all that stuff. The rest of my day, I'm then a doer. So I'm the COO. I'm the one doing all the work. So that's when I'm calling the mortgage banker and saying, hey, I got this great idea. We're going to go after, dads who like soccer in West Chelsea. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And so I did that. And every day is a little bit different. Sometimes I have appointments in the morning, right? Business clients always come first, but I always make sure every day that I find time to be a finder, a keeper, and a doer. And it keeps structure and discipline to my life that always keeps me moving forward because it keeps me accountable to my own goals. It's just always worked for me. I think that's a big thing that I did that I still don't see anybody do, even though I talk about it all the time.
Your demographic of client obviously is very affluent, right? So these are people that usually have their expectations always exceeded. So what did you do, or what do you do every day to exceed the expectations of your clientele, a clientele that has pretty high expectations?
Follow up, follow through, and follow back. My 3 Fs. I follow up with everybody until the day that they die. And when they die, I'm going to go to their funeral. I'm going to follow up with their entire family because it's very sad. Right. So I follow up with everybody all the time. I follow through with everything I say I'm going to do, no matter what. If I tell you I'm going to send you an email by 6 p.m., I send it to you by 5:58. If I tell myself I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym, I don't snooze. I wake up. I'm going to go to the gym because that's what I told myself I was going to do. Right. You follow through with what you say you're going to do with other people and with yourself without fail. Like you have to be accountable to your word. Otherwise, everything you say is meaningless, right? And then I follow back with everybody. I go back to everybody. I touch base with people all the time. I've got like my 3-5 rule, which has been big for my team and I during COVID, during the quarantine, because my entire team is like, well, how do I can't network from my couch. What do I do? What do I do? Like, well, yeah, you can. Go back to everybody you ever met and talked to ever. Pick 15 of them every day. And you're going to send 5 texts, 5 emails, or 5 calls. You're going to do 5 DMs, 5 texts, and 5 handwritten letters. Whatever you want to do every day, just 5, 5, and 5 to people that you otherwise never would have spoken to, and you'll create business that way. And all you're going to do is ask people, "Hey, how you doing? Just checking in. Been a while." So if it was an attorney you did a deal with 2 years ago, Joe, the attorney, send him a text message, right? Or give him a call, leave a voicemail. Not everyone's going to respond. But you will get business from just doing, it's all you have to do is just reach out to people and say, hey, how you doing? It's like the greatest business pickup line in the history of the world. And it's done amazing things for my team and I over the last 3 months. But follow up, follow through, follow back. And the 3 5s every day are more than anything. That's our secret sauce. More than client gifts, more than dinners, more than schmoozing, anything. It's like stick to your word, do what you say you're going to do, and touch base with everybody and just give. Business will come.
And one thing is like, Ryan, you've accomplished so much, but you've managed such a balanced life, it seems like, with your wife and your kid. For people out there that are working and grinding but can't seem to figure out how to manage a balanced life, what advice do you have?
Synergy all day long. I don't look at it as work-life balance. Like that stresses me out. It almost, like, in my mind, when people say work-life balance, I think of a seesaw, and I see like my wife and baby on one side and then like my job on the other. I'm like trying to balance it out, and that sounds really, really, really stressful. So I involve both together. I BCC my wife on emails during the day so that when I get home, she doesn't have to say what happened today. She's like, wow, that deal, crazy. Or like, yeah, I saw that email. That guy's such a dick. And I'm like, I know, So like we'll be, in sync that way. And, pre-COVID, obviously, even if it's just a small client drink, I invite Amelia all the time. Sometimes she doesn't want to go, but if she wants to come, it's better. And she makes me better and makes me look better all the time. It's synergy. It's finding time to blend both sides so that there is no work-life balance. Like that, it's just life. I know it sounds crazy and it always sounds cliche, but it's true if you can put it into practice.
I honestly don't even think that sounds cliche. I think that's a practical idea of saying, hey, we're a team. The idea of BCCing your wife on something because she is part of you. She is what makes you who you are. You go back to the dinner table, you can talk about these things. It all makes sense. But that being said, we wrap up the Real Talks with a quick restart rapid fire. So it's a this or that. First one, here we go. Open house or private showings?
Private showings.
Okay. Staged house or unstaged house?
Staged.
All day, yeah? All right. New developed building or a landmark building?
New.
Okay. Text guy or call guy?
Text.
Text. I think email just has to go. It takes too long.
Yeah.
All right. I know you wrote one book. You got another one coming. Paperback book or are you an ebook?
I like paperback. I like holding it.
Okay. And then you can plead the fifth here, but Steve Gold or Frederick Ickland?
Frederick doesn't live in New York anymore, so I got to stick with my New Yorkers. Steve Gold is here in New York with me, grinding it out during all this stuff. Freddie escaped to LA for the sun and something or other. So yeah.
A beautiful thing. Well, we appreciate your time, Ryan. Where can everyone find you? What do you have going on? And
listen, you can follow me here on the gram, or you can go to ryanserhant.com and take a look at the course. Anybody in here who's into real estate and wants to learn how to build a sales career, it's the #1 selling sales course for the last 9 months, I guess, which is just nutso. And my second book is Big Money Energy, and you can pre-order it at bigmoneyenergy.com. And thanks for having me. I have to go show an apartment right now, and they're like sitting across the street. They recognize the car, and they're like, "What's he doing in there?" So I'm going to run, but I'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Take care.
Bye.
All right.